Let's conclude our short comparative survey. We noted several similarities between the stories of creation in Enūma Eliš and Genesis 1. They are basically two different stories. They do not entirely parallel each other, yet they both share several basic conceptions. 1. At the beginning of creation, the world consisted nearly only of water. 2. These waters are called tehom in Hebrew and tiamat in Akkadian. These are probably two versions of the same ancient word. 3. One of the first acts of creation was the division of the vast body of water into two parts to serve as the heavens above and the groundwater and/or seawater below. 4. The God placed an impermeable sheet beneath the upper water to prevent water from leaking down and to preserve the separation between the two bodies of water. 5. Later, the God created the luminaries and determined their role as calendar markings. 6. The last creature to be added to creation was the human being. How are we to explain these similarities between the two creation stories? Several researchers believe that the biblical story of creation is based directly on Enūma Eliš. That is, the author of the biblical story was somehow familiar with the Babylonian story and made extensive use of it. However, this claim is problematic for several reasons. First, the stories are not similar enough to claim direct dependence. The parallels look impressive, but the basic plot is different. It is not the same story retold. A second consideration relates to the linguistic relation between Hebrew tehom and Akkadian tiamat. We will not go into linguistic details right now. It's enough to say that a comparison between these two terms shows that the Hebrew source cannot be dependent upon the Akkadian source, and that the two stories probably originate from a third common source. You can find more details in the appendix to this lecture. A third consideration against direct literary dependence is the fact that stories similar to Enūma Eliš are known from all over the ancient Near East. A myth which describes a hero god overcoming the sea in ancient days was preserved in different languages and places. We will discuss this issue later in this unit. For now, it's enough to conclude that we must look at the broader picture before determining the exact relation between Genesis 1 and Enūma Eliš. Let's close this part of the discussion with a more modest conclusion. Genesis 1 does not seem to borrow its content directly from Enūma Eliš. What we probably have here is a nucleus of common tradition shared by both texts. The author of Genesis 1 integrated common scientific ideas of his time into his work. Thus, popular conceptions about how the world came into being out of primordial waters found their place in the biblical account of creation in Genesis 1.